Lazy couch, baby. Hello, potatoes of all kind, and this is your host, Sunflower Kid, here to give you the juicy topics on Lazy Couch. And I'm here with three beautiful queens today.
Hey, it's your girl Tennille, aka Royalty. What's up?
Ah,
Hey everyone, it's Tia in the building, aka Shantia J.
Okay, so I don't have a fancy name like them, but hey, successful everyone.
hey. Okay, so let's get down to the topic of the day. The topic of today is bedroom voodoo. We've
Ooh.
all experienced or witnessed somebody who's been baited and hooked online. It makes us refuse to let go of that toxic relationship. It causes us to ignore all of those red flags. Surely nobody can grind the cornmeal like him. Oh no! His bedroom voodoo has me dickmatized. So we're going to share a scenario of a woman named Patty, and we're going to discuss her story.
Lord, this could be long.
So let's talk about a girl named Patty. Sorry to all you Patties out there. So Patty was in a relationship with this guy named D'Angelo. D'Angelo wasn't 6 feet tall, chocolate, or had a bed to die for, but he did have one ace up his sleeve. And I bet you all can guess what it is. I'm gonna skip to July. It's official. Patty and D'Angelo has been in a relationship for 6 months. Patty's birthday is coming up, but she doesn't want to scare her boyfriend away with birthday demands. She lets D'Angelo know that she'd rather spend the afternoon at his place than to be thrown a birthday party. It's one day from Patty's birthday, and like any happy couple, they were cuddled up together. Then, out of the blue, D'Angelo got an unexpected text. The text was a quick errand from his boss, and he decides to leave Patty alone at his crib. For about 10 minutes, he thought, no big deal. But in 10 minutes, Patty was able to find used condoms in the trash can and dirty laundry stained with makeup in the hamper basket. 10 shades lighter than what she is. When she confronted D'Angelo about it, he shouted at her, why are you going through my garbage cans and dirty laundry? Are you crazy? Patty began to cry while D'Angelo shouted at her. She was so embarrassed. She ended up storming from the apartment and drove herself home. The next day later, Patty rings up D'Angelo's phone at 3 a.m. He picks up and answers, what do you want? She replied, hey, baby, it's my birthday. Can I come over still? We can talk about you cheating a later time. And that ends the story of
Mm.
Patty and D'Angelo. So, how do you feel about Patty's situation?
I don't want to say Patty's stupid, but
I mean, we all know it's
it's not
stupid.
stupid, but
No, the
it
situation is
just
definitely stupid.
it just
But
makes sense.
we've all been there, and
Mm-hmm.
we've all been that stupid person. We've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to say that I am Patty. I was a Patty, and I promised myself
Oh
I would never
Lord.
be a Patty again. So
Well,
yes,
thank
Patty
God
has
for that.
been stigmatized. Okay, she has been stigmatized. So who hasn't? Let's be real. She just wanted some birthday sex. That's all she wanted. At least he did use condoms.
I mean,
What?
maybe.
I
Yeah, you're
mean,
right.
I
You're
listen.
right.
mean,
Some
yeah,
niggas be
that's
raw
true.
dogging. They be raw dogging, knowing
That's
that
true.
they
When you
dating
put it to
you.
perspective,
I mean,
He was being produced,
if he was raw
being
dogging, he
safe.
wouldn't have get caught. But
that is true.
Mm.
When you think of it in that way, then yeah, y'all have some type of yeah, some type of standing ground.
But the thing about it is, the things that penis can actually cause us to do,
mm-hmm.
cause us to
Honestly,
ignore the
I
red
don't know.
flags.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if
Honestly, I've been there. I've been there.
I don't know if I just can be the emotional one of the group today. That's okay. It's my life story. It's all good. But For me, I
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
really do think it. A big part of it is how good a good part of it. But
Mm-hmm.
another, there's some emotional stuff attached to
Yeah. Yeah.
that makes it way worse. So like, it's one thing to be for him to be skilled, quote unquote skilled in that area,
Mm-hmm.
and it's another thing to actually, because to me, sex is a very intimate thing. So
It
like,
is.
sex involves a lot of
Mm-hmm.
trust, sex involves a lot of confidence, sex involves a lot of things that some women, if we're being honest, kind of lack. So like, when they make themselves vulnerable and allow a man to get into their personal space, and most majority of the time get into their personal space that they're not even happy with
Mm-hmm.
and they are feeling insecure about, for them to open
Mm-hmm.
themselves up to that and to trust them with that, and then they turn around and betray you.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than the fact that he know what he's doing. It's the fact that I trusted him with my weaknesses, and that's innocent. So
Mm-hmm.
I, like I say, I can just have to be the emotional one, because we know as women,
There's nothing wrong with that, sweetheart.
majority of the time,
Of course.
it be the emotions attached to the sex more so than the sex itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I,
So
I,
I
I,
have a question
I'm
then.
afraid to admit this
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know who in my inner circle can hear this podcast. I have no idea. But at
And
the end of
listen,
the
there's
day,
nothing wrong with it
at the end of
because
the day,
people
we
want
be
to.
real.
Yeah.
And if I'm
Yeah.
being honest,
Mm-hmm.
I can say that not only because I've heard stories, or not only because I've had to encourage and coach females who go through this,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I've been through it.
I've been
So
through it.
So the personal experience is be on a whole different level. Like, when you be hearing stories, you just be like, damn, that's true. Well, this, that, and the next thing is possible. But the minute you experience it, you will be like,
Belly breakdown.
get the pesto.
Pesto.
Listen, I've been there. I've been there. Listen to me. I was ignoring all the red flags. I was telling this guy I love him during copulation. He hasn't
And he never
actually.
said it back.
I've been there where I was ashamed, but hey, I just loved it. I was stigmatized.
Hmm.
And the thing about it is, he hasn't really did anything for me like major to say, oh, I love him. He got
No,
me
that
like,
that's
let's
the
say a
question that
bottle.
I was gonna
He
ask.
got
Like,
me a
what's
bottle of
the step?
wine. Huh?
Ask your question,
That's
Ethel.
that's the question I was gonna ask. Like, how does one fall into being digmatized? Like, what's the process? What's the steps? Because personally, I don't think
Hmm.
I've ever been digmatized. I've had F buddies, but it was like, I don't really want you.
Sis,
I'm just having a good time. Like, I
Girl,
really
you a
don't care
part.
about
You
you.
are
let
a
me tell
part
you
Ethel
how
is
I
of
a
got.
the.
savage.
Let me
Okay,
tell you
y'all.
how
I
I
Watch
know.
got
out for Ethel.
stigmatized. Let me tell you how I got stigmatized. He had me in different positions. I've never seen it.
Both of y'all is living your best life. That's the
It
problem.
wasn't ready.
I
I wasn't
didn't
ready for
know.
that.
I
I
didn't
wasn't
know.
ready.
I
I
really
didn't know.
didn't know. I
I
could
didn't
have.
know.
I didn't know.
I didn't know
Oh
what was going on.
Like
my.
Like,
I no.
honest,
Honestly, I just didn't
Petra,
know.
Petra, more
Yes.
likely than not, me and you gonna have to have a PC chat about what to edit in and out of this conversation. Because I didn't know we was getting that deep. But anyway,
No, but
Petra,
honestly, like
But yeah,
Listen
I was
though,
like,
when you
but hold on.
experience new stuff, it's gonna be
listen.
trust
But
me, you're
hold
gonna be
on,
your
hold
Gemini.
on. Wait. Let me
that's
say
true, I
something
guess.
for everybody. There's, like we're all adults and we're
Hmm.
all mature adults,
Yeah,
and
we are.
the whole point of Lazy Couch is to create that safe space. Because
Hmm.
what's the point of looking down on sex if it's something that we all experience or
Yeah.
will experience in life? If you hear your friend sharing if you listen to this podcast and you hear your friend sharing your story, you should feel inspired and empowered to share your story, because that's how people grow and that's how people get better. And you have so many young kids have this question in their mind: what should I do? And they don't have no resources to really know
But
because
you
parents
also,
aren't
Yeah.
talking to
but
them,
but you
and
also have
Hmm.
some very
they don't
malicious
have
people
no
who would take
friends.
things the wrong way.
Yeah, I
Listen, we
agree
don't
with
care.
Tennille. I
Yeah,
agree with
I agree
Tennille.
with you, but we
Yeah,
don't
but
care about that. If people want to be malicious, apparently you is a virgin and you better than everybody else. Okay?
Everyone
Apparently,
got
you
skeleton in that closet.
everybody have skeleton
Everyone
in their
got skeleton.
closets, and you have to say I'm ashamed of what I've been through because what
Mm-mm.
I've been through it depends how I use what I've been through. If
Mm-hmm.
I go through something and I could use what I went through to build somebody else up,
Yeah.
then what I've been through wasn't in vain. So there's no shame. We don't have to focus on the
Right.
people who are malicious and the people who maybe feel insecure about themselves and they want to come down on you. We don't have to care about them. We don't care about. We care about the people who needs to feel like I'm not alone, because that's how
Right.
many women in the Bahamas feel. They feel like they alone and they feel like they can't come up because we're
And a
such a
lot of them beat
religious
themselves
country
up
and there's
about things like
nobody
that.
to talk to.
Yeah, because I
There's
used to like,
nobody to
say,
relate
oh
to. There's
well,
nobody to learn to.
why did
Parents
this
aren't talking to
or
their children and children have these
right.
questions and they don't understand.
I think
Yeah.
I saw a quote that says that a lot of parents are losing their children, and a lot of this generation is becoming detached from the older generations because
Yes.
we're giving the older generation is just giving instructions without showing the younger generation their setbacks and their
Mm-hmm.
struggles and their scars
Exactly.
and what
And
they've
don't
been through,
Exactly. And don't ever feel like the older generation didn't go through what we've been through. Chances
They
are they
did.
went through what we went through and they went through it 10
and they went
times
through
worse.
worse.
But they just
Yep.
ain't sharing it. And we have to learn how
Yeah.
to break that boundary. And we have to learn how to
Of
break
course.
that wall right there, because there
Yeah.
ain't nothing wrong with talking about sex. It's something that happens to
Yeah.
everybody.
Hmm.
Whether it's something that you're experiencing now or something that you've never experienced then,
Mm-hmm.
people, there's nothing wrong with talking about it. There's nothing
And
wrong.
imagine being in front of like teenagers and have to actually teach it.
Hmm.
And them
Yeah.
But
turn
no, see the
they
difference
coming with
is
questions. They coming with questions.
the difference is with you, Shantia, is that you teach the purely your job is purely to teach the physical part of it. Even though I do pray that you become that teacher, and I know you'll become that teacher that actually
Mm-hmm.
develops a relationship with their students the way
Mm-hmm.
you could
Mm-hmm.
talk on that level. But
Mm-hmm.
as a teacher, majority of these teachers they just teach the biological aspect of it. Okay, this is how it
Mm-hmm.
happens. Penis enters the vagina. This, that, and the next thing.
Listen,
But you
Boom,
don't get
hey.
to
I have to
understand
But
the
break
you
that
don't
emotional
down.
aspect. You
you
don't
don't
get to
get into how
understand
it
the
affects a
mistakes that you
peer.
could make
Right.
doing it. You don't understand because nobody's talking about it. And you don't have no
Mm-hmm.
way to really understand about it. You don't have no way to form your own opinion about it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
have
I
to go
think
out and make your own opinion because the resources aren't there. And it
I
shouldn't
think
be
when it
like that.
comes to trying to figure out how to actually, it's a problem of trying to figure out like how do I actually bring this forth? Because it's like, okay, I want to say certain things, or like I
Mm-hmm.
would want to have a relationship with, let's say I'm talking to my children, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure how to actually say what I feel like needs to be said because I didn't have that experience growing up. And it seems like for a lot of the older generation, to them, well, sex is like a taboo topic. So it's like, people are doing it, what's happening.
Yes.
Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
for those who get caught up and end up getting pregnant or whatever, it's like, okay, well, obviously you've been engaging in sex or whatever, but it's never a situation where it's like, okay, let me sit you down and talk to you about what's going on. It's usually just you better still be laid up with no man because I ain't taking
Because,
care of the
Yep.
baby. It's
yeah,
never a healthy conversation
Conversation.
Yeah.
it's
Or
situation
wait
never
till
a
that
healthy
marriage.
let's start.
conversation. Or wait till marriage.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, from my
Yeah.
experience, how I have a mummy and how my mummy was a person who waited till marriage to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mummy
Right.
is telling me the story all the time. When she talking to me about sex, she'd be straight up. She'd be like, "Teacher, I know what to tell you because my mummy never talked to me about sex, and my mummy was straight up raped. First child was a rape baby. Sisters having sex, sisters having children out of wedlock, and she was scarred. And because of those experiences that her mother went through,
Mm-hmm.
she just stayed away from it, and she don't know what to tell me about it. She's like,
Oh,
teacher, I don't know what to say.
that's a
If you ever have
difference
sex,
Yeah,
I
that's a
can't give you no
difference.
Yeah.
advice
No,
for
that's
me.
because
a difference.
I ain't got nothing for you.
It's a difference where if they've never experienced this themselves, they
Yeah.
don't have any experience to give you. But you have
Yeah.
some who have been through it and they've experienced it, but because
Yeah.
they don't want you to look at them in a certain way, or
Hmm.
they don't want you to feel like some parents have this thing where they don't want to get too close to their children. And I don't know where the devil this come from, but you have
Mm-hmm.
parents who do not want to get too close to their children because they feel like the children can see them as too friendly and then they ain't gonna be respectful and then they ain't gonna
Respectful.
do all this.
Yeah.
No, the best thing that you could do is form a close
Mm-hmm.
relationship with your child. Yes, there has to be a certain level of respect to you as
Right.
their parent, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's also important for your child to be comfortable enough to come with you with anything,
Yeah.
Mhm.
whether it's bad or good.
Mm-hmm.
Bad
And
or
Yeah,
and
good.
like
That's life.
exactly,
like
and
for my
it's like
mom, like it's the same. Like for me, I could go down and like, okay, mommy, that's what I'm going through, and she'd be like, okay, well, that's what happened to me when I was younger. She would be able to relate. But some people, I know, they can't go to their mom and be like, mommy, well, okay, I'm having sex. What should I do? Like they say they mommy like
kill him, half
kill
kill him.
them,
My
half
mommy,
kill them.
that was you know what? That was literally my mommy at one point.
And I'm like, wow, wow,
Like
I
if
think.
you have a lot of parents would be like, you come in here with baby, I will half kill you.
Mm, wow.
So
But
it's like,
anyway, oh, you have to.
yeah,
Okay,
let's
keep
move
going.
on.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
move on. We had to just talk about that. Okay, so the question: do any of y'all think that Patty's story is an accurate representation of some Bahamian relationships?
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
A
see,
thousand times yes.
yes, a lot of times, these relationships we always talk about, we ignore the red flags, but red flags ain't always cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Red flags could be he calls you out your name from time to time. Red flags
Mm,
could be he's inconsiderate of your feelings and he brushes off your feelings like, okay, whatever. Red flags could be him lying to you about where he's at and where he's going, or him feeling
mm,
like, or him telling you, oh, it's none of your business. Why are you asking me all these questions? It isn't always cheating. There's verbal abuse. There's all types of
Mental
other
abuse.
abuse that goes
mental.
on, and it's like you know that you're not comfortable. And the thing is, what saddens me is a lot of times when what we call dickmatized is a lot of women just looking for intimacy and validation.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all
Mm,
they're looking for. And it's like because you had that very vulnerable moment of intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you should be closer to this person. You would feel like this person should be more considerate of your feelings. But then once that moment gone
mm.
and they switch up, you will do anything just to get back to that moment again.
Okay, so we talked about mental abuse. So there's something I haven't like really come forward with, but
Mm-hmm.
I was in a relationship where I was mentally abused,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. And you would like say, okay, let me give this person the benefit of the doubt. So after the first time, you'd be like, okay, let me give this person a second chance, and the person did it again, and it's like there are there are a lot of young girls who are like just going into relationships, just like Danielle said, just to be validated, and it's like honestly,
There's nothing wrong with talking about it. We're all sisters. We're all
I
here for you.
regret it. It's something that I wish no one, not even my worst enemy,
Mm-hmm.
to go through, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thankful that I have my parents who like was there for me. And even though I was at that point where I was trying to be my own woman,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot. Like,
Trust
And
me,
listen,
girl.
you don't have to talk about it now. You can talk about it later. You can talk about it when you're in private with us, if that's what you prefer to do. But
yeah, I ain't ready
mm,
for that.
yeah, if you ain't ready for that, you don't have to talk about it. But we're there for you. You know, my queen. I'm
Girl,
thinking.
girl, trust
Yeah,
me. Listen,
it's
I don't think people understand the mental is and it's like this older generation, I will keep going back to them because they
Because they're the
always
problem.
they know the struggles.
They
They
know
know
it.
how it
mhm,
feels. But just because they've gotten over it, and some of them haven't even gotten over some of the things that they've experienced yet. That's why
mhm,
they can't
Mm-hmm.
help you through it because they haven't gotten through it. But a lot of them make it seem like it's so easy to be like, hey, you know what? Things has happened, things can be things, what's done is done.
yeah,
Just gotta get over it and move on. Yeah, that's true to an extent, but you ain't that ain't there's a process between it happening and you being like, okay, it is what it is, things is things, we move on. There's a
Mhm.
process. You don't just jump to that conclusion. You can't just make up your mind one day and be like, I don't care no more. No, it don't work like that.
Yeah,
It is
it
a
doesn't.
it is a process, and a lot of the times it is a messy as hell process.
And
And
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
want
that's
okay.
true.
And you want to
mm-hmm,
know what I want to add to that?
mm,
When you find yourself getting into a mental abusive relationship, it's a process. And that process doesn't start at the relationship. Sometimes it starts at when you're a child. It's sometimes it starts that when you're in high school and you're getting bullied and you feel
mm-hmm,
insecure about yourself, and you have to realize
mm-hmm,
that it took you a lot of years to get to that mindset and where
mm-hmm,
you feel like it's okay for someone to
True,
treat
very
you
true. That makes
like
sense.
that. And when you're getting out of that mindset, it's gonna take you just as long to get out of that.
mm-hmm. And the thing is,
So,
it makes you feel like you've been in that state for so long. It makes you feel like, sorry, boo. It makes you feel like you're the issue. Eventually, it starts to make you feel like when you're being mentally abused, people have a way of making you feel bad and be like, Maros, maybe I was tripping out, or maybe I was overreacting, or maybe I am a little bit too sensitive, maybe I am taking this a little too deep or too seriously. No, baby girl, what you feel is what you feel, and what you feel is right.
Is right, and there's nothing wrong with
You
feeling
should
about
never
it.
let anybody invalidate how you feel.
Hmm. I'm back on the topic of mental abuse. If you look at the story, you'll see that Patty was, in fact, being mentally abused by D'Angelo in a way because when it came down to her confronting D'Angelo about were you cheating or not, why would you make her feel as if she's the one in the wrong by shouting at her?
I think what's the guy's name? D'Angelo?
Mm-hmm.
Something wrong
D'Angelo.
with D'Angelo. I yeah, because I'm thinking of how why do you feel like you have that authority to treat someone like that? And on top of that, I'm thinking of how there are so many people in the world who literally are okay with this just being a hookup thing, with this just being a do what you want to do, I do what I want to do, as
And
long
they
as we're
blessed.
protecting ourselves. It really doesn't matter to me like what you do with your penis. It's a good penis, it's a great penis, it's wonderful, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some people who are like, okay, I'm down with just hanging, just chilling. It doesn't have to be like I'm in a committed relationship with you. So why find someone where it's like Patty wants a committed relationship. She wants someone who is there for her and whatever else she
Yeah,
wants.
and they were
You
technically.
cannot offer that, and you're getting upset with her for getting mad at you for wanting that. Is it
Hmm.
crack that you smoked, D'Angelo? Yes, it is.
Yep, been in the very same position.
Like
Very same position.
something's wrong with D'Angelo. Let's look at that. Something's wrong with him.
Yeah.
And
And
we're going to get
I'm,
to that.
oh my gosh.
We're
Now,
definitely going to get with that.
I'm sure if any male listens to this podcast, they're going to say, "Well, she had no business looking through my stuff. What she was looking at my garbage and in my dirty clothes for?"
They
Exactly.
always switch it up on
Hold on,
us.
wait a minute. Pause.
You know?
They have a point. That doesn't take
I
away.
just was gonna say I was
They
gonna say
have a
the same
point.
thing. Don't go looking
I'm
for
not
what your
gonna.
belly ain't ready to handle.
Get the pep
I'm
talk.
not gonna. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take away from the fact that he cheated on her because he was still very much so wrong. But what was it that she was looking for?
Mm.
What what now it's one thing to be like use condoms in the trash can because it could have been easy. She might have just gone to use the bathroom because you have
Right, right, right,
people have a little mini trash can in their bathroom. Just
Mhm.
put
right.
Mhm.
condoms and stuff in the trash. Why
Hmm.
he was looking through his dirty laundry though? But anyways,
Mm.
anyway, I can give her
Okay.
I can give her the benefit of the doubt to find condoms, but
So
not the
she
dirty
low key
laundry.
crazy too. Something going
So
on
she
with her.
exactly she Loki's got problems too. But
Nah, but I'm
hey,
thinking
she found
maybe
out something
she's
that she
seeing
needed to find
signs. Yeah, more than
Yeah.
likely she saw some signs and she was like, all right, I now have the opportunity to confirm. But what's the point of confirming if you can call him the next morning at 3 o'clock in the morning at that while he's asleep in his bed? You come talk for foolishness. You come and
She
say,
was
girl,
She
I
tickling.
was
wanted the
hanging up on
birthday
her.
sex.
I was
That's
hanging
all
up
she
on her.
wanted.
Because
And
you ain't gonna come wake me up out my bed talking foolishness. Mm-mm.
she wanted the intimacy and she wanted the love. She still wanted
Right.
she wanted that companionship of her boyfriend on her birthday. along with the sex, yes. But she wanted that companionship.
I would have rather her like
And she
having
didn't
sex
have
with
any
him than having sex with any
plans.
random guy.
And she didn't
Exactly.
have any plans. Like she didn't have a celebration for him. And now she find out he's
Ethel,
cheating, and
Ethel,
she already
Ethel,
planned before it.
I envy you. Let me tell you why. You round here, the type of female that actually has the ability to not get feelings. How? Teach me thy ways, oh beautiful, please.
No, I'm trying to
We
change my
gotta
ways.
have
I'm
a
trying to
whole
become more of an
segment.
open person.
Be like
Become
Ethel.
more,
How to be an
because
Ethel.
niggas don't
Because
make sense and it don't make no sense,
I
man.
can never. It's like sex don't even have to be involved for me to get feelings.
Five points from Ethel
Right.
And it's like
to teach
how
us how to be a savage.
how do you get to the point of having sex and still don't give two shits? How? Anyway,
I don't even know what to say. You're just gonna be like, F it.
no, I can't do
Just
that.
say F it. Cause like, yeah, at the point when I'm ready to go into a steady relationship and whatever, it's gonna be difficult, I think, for me because like I am not a person where it's like I am all feelings and emotional. So it's
Mm.
gonna I think it's gonna be difficult in that respect. That's what happened in my last committed relationship. It was like, okay, he felt like I wasn't as open, even
I
though
know who
what
you
I was
talk.
going through, he
Hey,
annoying.
don't be blasting
He's
Ethel.
Let me tell
annoying.
y'all how Ethel is a savage, and I ain't adding this
So
out.
Ethel,
No,
question. So
y'all,
do you tell
hold
these
on.
guys? Wait. So Ethel, do you tell these guys? Okay, I don't want a committed relationship. I just want
Yeah,
this,
that's
and
what it
that's
is.
that.
It's
So
usually
you tell
like
them
a
up front.
so what you into, and it's like a I'm just chilling. I ain't really into nothing. Like I say from then, I ain't into nothing. Once I say I ain't
Okay,
into nothing,
you
and you
set that
catch
boundary
feelings,
at the
that's on
beginning.
you. So if
Guys,
I don't
hold
know.
on. Guys, let me
Ethel
tell
got
you
these
how
niggas
savage
mentality.
Ethel is. Let me tell y'all how savage Ethel is. You see, Ethel's ex, he broke up with him. And last Valentine's Day, he wrote her a song and sung it to her, and she still ain't want him.
Oh,
Okay,
Ethel is a
Song,
savage.
a
no,
song. You
Ethel
give up
is
a
a
no.
he
song,
sang it for her. I saw
a
the video.
Eh?
song.
Ethel
Ethel
had
is
him. No way. Ethel had him the opposite, like the opposite of dickmatized. I think
Ethel is savage.
Systematize.
no, it's coochie whipped.
The uncle and
Coochie
call.
whip.
The
I gotta see
uncle,
that.
I'm
oh god.
Oh
screaming.
go, oh gosh,
And
you
it wasn't
guys.
even
Oh
the
go,
Uncle
oh
Wonka, because that was the
god.
other thing. It wasn't even the Uncle Wonka. I don't know. I like
It had
Ethel's
to
a
be
these
the
niggas
Uncle
savage.
is wrong
Wonka. It
with
had
them.
to be.
I
Shoot,
know.
that wait.
These
But
So
niggas is
anyways,
that
guys, I'm going to move on to the next question. What do y'all think of D'Angelo?
he's whack. Get rid of him.
Selfish,
Someone needs to punch
you
him in the
already
mouth.
self-centered.
asked it. Didn't you already ask it? I thought you already asked it.
We didn't
Oh
get to answer
no,
it.
we no, y'all brought up the subject, but
Yeah,
I
we
already
brought
had
up
the
Yeah.
Angelo.
question. I already had the
Mm.
question there.
I feel as though
Okay.
I hope Patty just had sex with him and then the next day like just blocked him on every social media account she had and
That's
just
We know she
like
didn't.
move
that's
on.
probably
We
not
know she
very
didn't.
We
Move
know
on.
nice.
she
And even
didn't.
if she blocked him, more than likely she unblocked him within a few
That's
days or a
me.
few weeks.
Well,
Exactly.
So, you
See,
know, yeah, that. But
yeah, all
Exactly.
that.
uh,
All that.
D'Angelo is rude. Someone needs to
Nice.
fight him. Honestly, someone needs to fight him.
I
Because I
keep
feel
telling
bad for
y'all to
Patty.
fight these niggas. We don't have time to play with these niggas. Slap up. Tania Tanya be talking out my hip. Slap up.
Slap
Because
Slap
up.
up.
Right with them.
Life. You can't be playing up with these niggas. Sometimes you need a little slap. When I slap you, you gotta take it.
I hate
No,
you.
please stop.
You
Just stop.
annoying. You gotta
Just
go.
stop.
But I think something wrong with D'Angelo. Something's wrong with Patty. I think that I part of their emotional education. I feel like that should have come from more than likely it comes from the people that they're around and everything, obviously. But I think that schools should have a instead of the family life classes that we're used to, which are
Yes.
whack and garbage and a waste of time and energy,
Well,
they
Mm.
they
need
stopped
to
doing
have
that in primary
It's
people.
school.
a free aid. I
Real
need that
talk.
little
But
can.
Some
Can I
people
but
used to
pay
say
for
D'Angelo
my
though.
class? One time I failing all my
Exactly.
classes, that family life class come through, making me look little good.
I screaming, no. Can I get an A and have some type of emotional intelligence and not
Yeah.
just
Right.
learn about STDs where it's not even like a I'm
Mhm.
learning. I'm just doing some research
Yeah.
and drawing a
Because
picture
like
like I in
once
grade
you
two.
right, because once you learn all of the basics, the biological basics of safe sex and STDs and wearing condoms and
Right.
Right.
contraception and all these things, it's good to have this knowledge. But you apply all this physical knowledge, you may not come up with an STD, you may not come out pregnant, but you come out with a heartbreak, and that heartbreak sends you into an
Yes,
emotional
you're
spiral
filled with
that
trauma that
turns
you
you
don't know
into
how to heal
depression,
from.
and that depression will
Yes.
turn into something completely
And
different.
sometimes it don't even have to be sex, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Sometimes
what I'm
it's just
All
the
you need is a
relationship
saying.
that you're in.
picture.
It
All
just
you need
to
is
be
just
it just to be one little close, intimate, vulnerable moment. That's all it
yes.
needs. Don't
And
even
sometimes you
like
just need that closure, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
child,
hey,
I've reached the point where I'm like sometimes you gotta come to terms with the fact that sometimes you cannot get the closure that you so desperately want. You
And
have
you
to
yeah,
know,
release
I
that
and
closure
guys,
for
I
y'all
had
want
to
to
yourself.
know
learn
what?
that. Yes,
And
I
guys,
had
you
to
want
learn
to
that.
know what the next question was going to be?
Mm.
Why do you think Bahamian women find themselves in a relationship with a D'Angelo?
That's a whole other topic. I want you to know that.
That's
I want you to know that
that's
that goes in
oh
deeper than what we
man.
talking about right now. That go into self esteem. That go into
Yeah,
Self
I think
worth?
self-esteem and self-worth are the number one factors that
Yeah.
goes toward it, and also the relationships that you see around you. Because I know for me personally, my I have an auntie on my mommy's side, and I'm like, this woman gotta be dumb. She taking care of this man. I hated the situation because from young I was like, this ain't making sense to me. Something ain't adding up. And it was like it was you could tell it wasn't a healthy relationship. It wasn't a relationship where she was happy to be with him or whatever.
One
And
plus
I
two
found out
wasn't.
some years later that in the beginning, before they got together, he was chasing her and she didn't want him. But the
uh-huh.
tables have turned and
Oh,
it turned into her chasing him. They ended up having kids or whatever together, but they were
Babies
together
and
for
kids
like,
did it
I
all.
guess, 10, 15 ish years. And it was like, what you doing with your life, sis? Why are you doing that? Why
mm,
are you doing that to yourself? And it's evident that you find out that men are able to be emotionally vulnerable. They're able to have this, they understand what they're doing is wrong when they get with who they actually want to be with. Or let's say they've matured and they've changed, they've realized, okay, maybe I need to stop being garbage and I need to learn sense. But for the people that they've hurt along the way, it's really hard. You know, this 15 years of being put on the back burner by the person you were putting on the front burner. He had all your
mm,
burners and he had you
mm,
sitting in the fridge. Wow.
mm,
How?
mm.
It's
Listen, I this point just came to me just now, and it also goes back to how we are raised in this country.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes.
Women are raised, yes. Well, me personally, I was raised to do well in school, make sure I get my degree, make sure I get a good job, make sure all these things. But there
And
was
you're
never
doing
a
all of those
time,
things.
and there was never a time. Hold on, Peter, I got it. There was never a time where it was not mentioned that I should have myself together so I could get a good husband. It was not once ever neglected to mention, but they will raise the boy and say, you need to do this. You need to make sure you got a steady job, get your money up, be rich, get things for things. For women, men and husbands are portrayed to them as necessities. For men, women are portrayed to them as options for if they desire if they so desire or if
Yeah.
they
Oh,
want it.
in my belly.
It's like we because like it always everything that we're taught as young women is like okay being taught to clean the house. You better know how to clean the house because ain't no
Yes.
man gonna want you if you don't know how to clean the house.
Mhm.
Knowing how to cook, you better know how to cook because ain't no man gonna want a woman who can't cook. You
Yes.
better
Listen how I don't do foolishness.
Savage, the
That's how I
savage
feel like
Bethel
I
See?
is
was
here.
raised.
child,
The,
the
Yeah.
battle
the
has
savage
entered.
See,
speaks, everybody.
no. Because okay, for me, my mommy them they'd be like saying that or whatever, right? Okay,
Mhm.
I lived with my auntie for most of my life or whatever, and me and my mommy and my auntie. Now, my auntie did most of the cleaning and cooking. I'm an only child, so like I had no worries up until my auntie moved out a few years ago. So I finally started doing my own thing, as in cooking and cleaning, right? And I'm like, this is whack. I'm a slave in the kitchen all day for a man. Your head got to be bad.
Exactly. Especially for
I
a
don't
man
do
who don't
foolishness.
appreciate your work.
I got
Exactly.
to no. And like, no, for true. My cousin girlfriend was here the other day, and she was like, "You can have to," because I had cooked. I made soup on Monday. It's my first time doing pea soup and dough,
Oh,
and
and you only
yeah,
bring me none.
it
Mm,
actually came out pretty well. My cousin did the dough for
mm.
me, but everything else was top tier. Anyway, so she was like, "You talking about you tired and you only cook one day?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, she was like, "So what you gonna do when you have a husband and kids?" And I pause. I look at my mommy. My mommy just roll her eyes because she know I getting ready to say, "What that have to do with me?" Because if I'm thinking it makes sense to get in a relationship with someone who you know can help to take care of you as well.
Yes.
Because if push
Mhm.
comes to
Yes.
shove, if I'm the only person cooking and cleaning and taking care of the children, if something were to happen to me, that means my children are going to suffer
Up
with
the
the man
creek.
that I had children with.
Up the
So
creek.
Yes.
how would I get in a relationship with someone who is not willing to help me cook, help me clean, help me take care of the kids?
Hmm.
It's evident that I'm borderline setting myself up. It's a difference if I have decided to be a stay-at-home mother, which I don't want to do. In my first 2 years of
Same.
having
Same.
children, I
Same.
don't mind staying home. But why, personally, I have other things that I would want to do. I'm
Mhm.
okay with women who say, you know what, I don't really want to do anything. I'm okay with being a stay-at-home mother. But at
Right.
some point, that's not going to be feasible because once the children reach 18, at
Hmm.
that point you're still able to work and do stuff. So what are you going to do home? Just
Mhm.
keep house all day? That's
Exactly. From a
it's gonna
personal
sound crazy.
experience, yes, from a personal experience, my mom is a housewife, right? So my dad basically, he go there, he work,
Hmm.
he pay all the bills,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera. But she have to cook, she have to clean, she have to do all of this. And some days it feel as though she's not appreciative of, he's not like appreciating what she's doing,
Mhm.
you know.
Right. I think
So
that's what makes it
and
worse.
then that caused a problem as well.
Mhm.
So I feel as though that 50-50 thing should be, what's the word?
It
I
should
agree
be
with the 50-50 thing.
prioritized.
Yeah, it should be prioritized. I feel as though, maybe both of the parents should be working in a
Right.
sense. I feel as though it should
Yeah.
be
But
50-50. Everyone helping out. That's how I feel. I
right.
personally ain't gonna be a housewife like my mate. I cannot do it. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I can't do it.
So, guys, are you ready
Even
for the
me.
next question?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay. Should someone feel embarrassed or ashamed to be a party?
No.
No.
You should be ashamed to be a repeated party.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
Promise yourself that you're
everybody.
not going to make the mistake
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. So
After the
every
first
all of us
D'Angelo,
have
you need to
been.
get sent. That's it.
No, some girls sometimes it take a couple, but I just feel like you should never be. All of us have been a party at some point in our lives,
Yes.
but it should never be your lifestyle. It should never be a
Right.
continuous
Learn
thing.
from your mistakes.
Learn
Okay.
from
So at
what
some
you've
point,
been
you have to
through,
break the cycle.
and exactly,
Yes.
and you have to break that cycle and be like, hey, you know what? I deserve better than this.
Hmm.
I need to learn how to differentiate these men and how to let these men know I ain't come to play. Ain't no long slapping up. Say
Exactly.
what you gotta say, do what you
Good.
gotta do, and do what you're supposed to do. Because if that ain't the run you on, cheapest, you get off my track. You understand? So
Hmm.
Fact.
you have to
Being
reach. You
seen.
have to reach.
Period.
You have to
Yeah.
reach that point where you've been there, done that. You hurt over it. You cry over it. You
Yeah.
experienced it. Now you have that life experience, and you better take that and you better run with that and be like, ain't happening again, buddy. That's it for that.
True.
Exactly. And I
I
mean, I feel as though like my thing too is that okay. Sometimes, okay, for example, for me, I told the guy, I was like, you know what, I'm not into a relationship. I just feel like we should just, be friends, chill or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was upset. He was like, I actually liked you. I actually wanted to pursue you. I actually want to be with you. So I said, okay, let's give it a try. After that, he
well,
started
not
going
us
ghost on
then.
me.
Mm-hmm.
He
Well,
going
not
ghost
us
on
then.
me. He sweetened me up.
No.
Do what he had to do and gone ghost on me every 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I'm like, didn't I say from the beginning this is what I want? But no, you
Be
told me you
like,
wanted a
wait,
relationship.
ain't nothing
So
more
it's like you
irritating.
confusing me.
Ain't nothing more irritating to be like, you pursued me. and I accept
Exactly.
you.
Right. I was minding my
And then
Exactly.
you
business.
turn around, and then you turn
But see,
around,
okay?
that you come in my chat, sweeten me up, and then you can turn around
Oh
and do me
goodness.
dirty.
That's how you have to fight him. At that point, you
Right.
have to fight him.
Fight him.
Like
We need a
you
book of
came to
misogamy
me.
for Ethel. You need an Ethel version.
Because because
So
no,
it's
okay,
like,
it's a difference if we both agreed, okay, we're gonna go into this. But I told you no, I'm not really interested in anything. You took it upon yourself to place yourself more in my life than you needed to and make it
mhm.
more than what it had to be. We could have
and
been
then
friends, we could
get
have been cool.
and then get
And
mad
then,
when I don't return it.
well, mother, but listen, I'd be too mad. I ain't gonna lie. Like, because I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I getting upset. Because why would you do that to me? What I do you?
Mhm,
Nothing. I
mhm.
was minding my business. And you
They
just
get upset. They
decided
get upset at the fact that okay, they
you
think
don't
that they
want
can
them.
change
I
your
think that's what
mind.
it is.
Not
Yeah,
only
they
that,
don't like
not only that,
rejection either.
Yeah.
not only that, they still push because they feel like they could change your mind. And when they realize that they can be strong enough to change your mind, it has upset them, and it has made them doubt themselves, and they don't like doubting themselves. So
Yeah.
it's like if
Oh,
you
Narcissist.
goodness.
if you
But, child,
decided
if that's
that
how the people feel in my chat, then I'm sorry for them.
oh Jesus,
See,
I
I
mean,
need to
if
be like
only I
Ethel.
could get
See.
I ain't gonna
if
lie.
only I could get a
Book of
small percentage
Ethel.
of Ethel's savagery,
How to
just
be
a
a
small percentage.
savage.
Because,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I might do some memes
You
of
be
Ethel.
getting headaches over these niggas. You be
Hey, listen to
getting
me.
No.
Listen to
No.
me.
belly breakdown. All type of
Listen.
things.
Mm, mm,
All type of things.
Having random mood swings and crying sessions and
Listen to
things.
me.
no. No. Not good. Not good at all. But
Mm-mm.
I'm thinking
Mm-mm.
another thing that came to mind in relation to coming out of a relationship with a D'Angelo. I'm thinking that both persons need some form of therapy. Obviously, something's wrong with D'Angelo. He need help, but Patty also needs some form of therapy where it's like, okay, she's
Mhm.
learning how she's unlearning those behaviors and then relearning how to love herself and be
Yeah.
committed to herself first in
Hmm.
Yeah.
comparison to be
That's what I'm trying
someone
to
else.
learn.
Hmm.
Yes.
So I think that's an important thing. And then especially after that, who you surround yourself with. I mean, of course, when you talk to your friends, they probably telling you, don't text the boy back. Don't text him back.
Mhm.
Delete
Hmm.
his number
Mhm.
and block him. And like
Yeah.
your friend is look at you and yeah, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna talk to
I is
him.
that friend.
But
I
like
would have
I
been too
say,
mad
but
with
like
you.
I
Oh
say,
my gosh,
and like I
no.
say, it is be different. I probably would be that friend. Like you know how many I the last situation that I was in, I sat and I thought about it and I was like to me, you know what? If a friend of yours came to you about the situation you in right now, you would have tell them stop your garbage and leave that nigga alone. But look at you, look at you, look at you.
Mm.
That's true. That's
Punk.
true.
Hey, and it's like it's a whole
Queen
different story
I
Chronicles.
not just
when the
any
shoe
part of
on another
the
foot.
conch bubby.
Yeah.
Pure conch
Want to
bubby.
give advice, but can't take your own advice. Look at me.
Right?
Man, I think it's
Listen.
difficult though. Listening to myself, it's like, no, I don't really like what I'm saying. I just want to do what I want to do.
Mhm.
I want to follow my heart. I think that's what it is.
Mhm.
Following your heart instead of using logic.
Boy,
Because
your
at
Mhm.
heart's
some
so
And
point,
females us,
your
disappointed.
we
emotions,
think on
yeah,
emotions. Yeah.
right, your emotions are
Yeah.
sometimes so much stronger until something serious happens or
Exactly.
something happens to shift your perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
until that happens, you're probably gonna stay a patty. Like literally until
Definitely.
they hurt you bad enough, you're gonna be a
Mm-hmm.
patty, and it's gonna be a circle, and
Mm-hmm.
then you might just die a patty. That'll suck, but
But
Mhm.
and that's another thing. You have some
yeah,
women who
Who
keep
do?
going in these relationships, and then they find themselves with someone really abusive because the abuse just getting worse and worse. And
right,
seriously, when you put yourself in a physically violent, abusive relationship, you're not just putting yourself in danger. You're putting your children in danger. You're putting
Yeah.
your
right,
siblings in danger. You're putting
yeah.
your
Those around
parents
you,
in
because
danger.
those people crazy.
I know somebody who was in a abusive relationship, abusive marriage, and the husband killed the father.
Oh wow,
Killed the
why would
father.
you kill my daddy?
You know.
there's something wrong with
Well,
these
sorry, sound
people.
familiar, but yeah.
You know,
Mm.
these are serious things, these are serious times, and it's more common than we believe
Mhm.
it is.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why mental
It's
health is an
more.
important part
It's.
of, it should
Mhm.
be an important part in all families and all
Mhm.
cultures, because it helps you to understand, okay, this is not a healthy situation that I'm in. I need help, and this person that I'm with, obviously something's wrong with them, and they probably need help as well. I
Mhm.
should not stay here. But if I don't have a blueprint or anything, I don't have an example to follow. I've seen my aunties and my friends and stuff, I've seen them stay in these abusive relationships until, let's say, the guy gets locked up and he decides he doesn't want them anymore, something like that.
Mhm.
I've never, let's say, a situation where it's like, okay, this woman said she stopped while she was ahead. She realized the signs and she stopped. A lot of the stories that you hear, a lot of them are literally on the brink of death before they leave. And
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
so I think the narrative within the Bahamas, well, because that's what I'm familiar with, I think the narrative needs to shift. And you'd be surprised how many persons are in abusive relationships and you don't know because they aren't
Talk about
showing.
it.
Like, let's say the person
Mhm.
isn't hitting them where you can see. You'd be surprised if
Mhm.
someone lifts up their shirt, how many bruises on their
Yeah.
backs and stomachs and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I think getting a conversation started in regards to a lot of stuff is, I think, the
Important.
top, yeah, that's the top factor.
And
And then learning to be not judgmental.
it all goes back to the fact that the Bahamas doesn't take mental health seriously.
We
It
don't.
it all
Bahamas
goes
don't take
back to
nothing
that.
serious.
The
But you
only thing we
alive.
take seriously is a Christmas tree that decorated
Listen,
badly.
Wait.
these people full of
That was
shit.
funny.
They
I ain't
ain't
gonna
into
lie.
nothing.
That
It
was
was
funny.
funny though. The Bahamas
Yeah.
isn't, they ain't into nothing. I ain't gonna lie.
Wait.
I
It
wanted,
all.
I want to go into psychology after. Well, I'm finished with my education degree, but I want to go into
Woo
psychology
woo.
after. But I only can stay here and get mad with these people
Oh
Listen.
no.
because
Listen to me.
it's
Listen.
I
needed. I
considered
know it's
taking up social
needed,
working, you know.
but
Mhm.
these people, I
Listen.
don't get
I
it.
even though I'm a biochem major,
Mhm.
every opportunity I have to take a psych class, I take it.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
didn't
And the
study
thing is,
class.
it's
Yeah.
I didn't
very
take.
important when you want to pursue science, because when you're pursuing science, you also have to deal with people. And when you're dealing with
Mhm.
right.
people, you're dealing
Yeah.
with all spectrums of the people. And when
Yeah.
you're a
Mhm.
doctor, you need to know how to work with a lady who was in an abusive relationship. Because you know, like
Mhm.
when you're a doctor and a woman comes in and she doesn't want to say where she got this injury or
You have
how
to
she
report
got this
it. You have to
injury, you
inquire. You have
have
to
to
inquire
report
about
it
it.
and you have to know how to get her to talk about it in order to know
Right.
how to treat what she has.
Mhm.
You know, so
Okay.
when you're in a science field, like psychology is something that you have to
Yeah.
have because you're dealing with people. Also, when you're a research scientist, you have to learn how to talk to people because people aren't going to
Yeah.
give you blood samples and people aren't going to get tested
Mhm.
unless they feel safe that
Comfortable. Mhm.
comfortable enough to
Yeah.
do it. You have to
But like
know
I've
how to
always
connect with
feel as
people.
though like going to like a therapist or like is like always like a white people thing. You know?
Mm,
I've
No,
always
Lord.
it'd be
Me,
like, oh, that's a white
I
people
went
thing.
to
But
one when I was
honestly,
younger.
I
It's
wouldn't
pretty
mind. I wouldn't mind going to one because I need it. I need to vent sometimes.
they're pretty
Let
Honestly,
me
nice.
tell.
I
Let me
need
Yeah.
tell
it.
y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. And I can say this is the first time I can say this and on a recording that's gonna be published
Mhm.
everywhere.
hmm
When I had to reach a point, I literally reached a point where I was so upset
Mhm.
where I didn't want to talk to nobody who I was familiar with because I already know what they was gonna say and it wasn't gonna help, and it just wasn't gonna be what I needed. So I had to establish in my mind like you know what I need to
Mhm.
get help. I need to I need help to understand because a lot of the times our friends their intentions are good and they try
Mhm.
to the best they can do is try to encourage you and uplift you in the situation, but sometimes they don't have the knowledge to tell you what to do to get through it. Sometimes they don't have the knowledge to actually explain what it is that you're going through when you don't even understand what you're going through. You just dealing with so
Right.
And
much hurt.
sometimes the wound's so fresh, you can't even give
Exactly.
them enough information at the time
Exactly.
so they
Fine.
can know how
So
to
so
help you.
I had to swallow. Well, it wasn't even a pride thing. I never saw an issue with going to therapy, but I was like I was the person that thought, well, the only people who need to go to therapy is the ones who feel like they can kill themselves. And I was never the
Mhm.
one that felt I never felt suicidal. I never had suicidal thoughts, but I was sort of I always felt like it ain't that serious. I was that type of person. Like I believed in
Yeah.
therapy, but I was like, it ain't that serious. It ain't that serious. It ain't that serious. I don't want to die. It ain't that serious. But
That's what most of humans will say. They're like,
at
oh, it's
that
don't even
point,
be that serious. Even like your parents, they're like, oh, it ain't even that serious. Like, go to sleep.
listen at that point,
Wow.
I ain't gonna lie,
Go eat a sandwich.
that
You'll be
depression
fine. It's
nap is
just gas.
that depression nap is be litty. I ain't gonna lie. But anyway,
Like, I need
I
help.
Oh goodness.
I had to come to a conclusion. I was like, you know what? I need help, and I went to get help, and I went to see
Hmm.
a counselor,
Hmm.
and honestly,
Wow.
it was it was very helpful. It didn't minimize the pain. Obviously, you're still
Hmm.
gonna feel what you feel, but
Hmm.
having that person that you can confide in outside of your family, outside, it's like they
Yeah.
can give you a perspective that you never thought of and no one ever told was ever thought to come to you about.
Right.
So
Mhm.
it's like you know what it is to be in the middle of finals. This finals week.
Mm.
No, not even finals week. This happened at least a week before finals. I
Oh
had to
man.
go. I had to go and see my counselor at least twice a week, so I could feel emotionally stable enough to actually study and prepare for my finals. Because you always would find yourself doing something, and the smallest thing that you notice could bring back memories of what you're dealing with, and then it's just
You ain't
it
lie.
over.
You
Mental
ain't lie.
breakdown. It over. So it's like you know what it is to have to go to counseling twice a week just to make sure that you're mentally stable enough to deal with your grades.
Hmm.
It is be that deep, and we don't realize how deep these things is run,
You don't.
and we don't acknowledge how deep these things is run and how much it could affect a person to that point. So we really need to start taking this more seriously and stop taking therapies for white people. Everybody needs help from time to
Yeah.
time. Again,
Oh no.
everybody needs that somebody to confide in.
Mhm. Okay, so my three beautiful queens. If you had one word of advice for D'Angelo, what would it be?
For D'Angelo,
Hmm.
I would say that he needs to deal with whatever is going on within himself to make him feel like he could treat a woman like that.
I would
Hmm.
say before you get into another relationship, make sure that's something that he wants, and be
That
straight
too.
up with the girl, and don't lead her on. If you know you're gonna be out there having sex or copulating with a bunch of other females, you know, don't go in a
That's the bio
relationship.
feature in you, copulation.
Yes, like don't do it. You know,
So
let them
just
know
be
that's not
honest.
what you
So just
want.
be honest and
Just be
upfront.
honest. Yes.
Transparent.
I agree. I agree with both of them. Be honest with yourself first, and be honest with the person that you're with, and also get the help that you need. Because in the long run, you can't. You're gonna meet someone who is actually gonna fight you, who is actually gonna hurt you for
You're
hurting
gonna
their
meet an
feelings.
Around
Ethel,
here ready to
D'Angelo.
throw hands.
D'Angelo, you're not gonna have a party. You're gonna have an Ethel. And you're not gonna be ready for
Yes,
Oh,
Ethel.
Ethel, for real.
he's gonna
Or
meet someone who is going to the emotional hurt that he caused her. She is going to
to
match that
cause
with
him. Yep.
physical pain,
Not
and
only
you don't want
physical, but
that.
the
You
emotional
don't
too.
want that. Don't
What you
don't
Hmm.
you don't want
what
that
you put
smoke.
out, whatever you put out, that's what you can get back. So
Right. That's also
I
true.
feel like what goes around comes around. You spend your whole life finessing girls and just being with girls for sex and cheating on them. One of these days you can encounter a girl who you fall for head over heels and she can do you dirty and
Yep.
you ain't gonna know what to do with yourself.
Nice.
Hmm.
That's a
So,
cold one.
so y'all ready
I
for the
mean, it's
next
not a nice
question?
thing, but yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so to conclude this podcast, one at a time. If you had one word of advice for Patty, what would it be?
Trust your gut. Trust your gut. I can't say that enough because the majority of the time, we as women is see these things and we notice these things and we feel things and we ignore it.
Yeah.
Don't ignore it. Trust me. It's like you would feel it and you would know it and you would be like, you know what? That don't make sense because this he doing this, he doing that. No. That women's into God give us this thing called intuition.
Yes.
That, that's the Holy Spirit guiding you. You do not disregard that. That's all I
Mhm.
had to say. Because I know for a fact she probably saw and felt something was wrong from the get go. Like you say, she had to have some type of suspicion to be going looking through his stuff.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Like
she,
I would say, I would tell Patty don't ignore the red flags. If she's religious, pray about it, and before she jump into that relationship, focus on herself first.
make sure she heals completely before she goes
Yes.
into another
Yeah,
relationship.
that I agree with that fully. I would say also get counseling if possible, so that you are now on a better path to healing. I mean, I understand that you can heal by yourself. You figure out what you feel like you need to do, but you can also find someone where you can say, okay, I need you to help me as I learn to navigate life healing, because it's different when you're just going through a cycle of toxicness. It doesn't matter what you do. Whatever you do, it's going to be toxic, and there's no rhyme or reason. However, when you're on the
Mm-hmm.
path to healing, it's different because healing isn't
Mm-hmm.
linear. Some days you're going to feel like I'm fine. I could get into a
Mm-hmm.
relationship right now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to love him and everything's going to be fine. But
Next
then
day,
a few
nervous
days,
breakdown.
exactly, literally a few days later,
Nervous
it's like,
breakdown.
Mhm.
I what relationship? Oh my gosh, I don't even want a man. Look at me. So
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. That's how it is
I
be.
right.
Trust
So
Mm-hmm.
me.
I think it'll be important for her to focus on that, focus on herself for a while before getting into something else. But I understand that there might be a situation where it's like, oh, you can literally be in the process of healing and you find someone who
That's actually
is
good for you.
worthy of
Mm-hmm.
your
Yeah.
time and everything. So be open, but not open to the point where you just allow anything to fly. And like
Mm-hmm.
Shania
Right.
said, look at the red flags and everything in relation to that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think.
Okay, so we're going to end this lazy couch podcast public service announcement. Dickmatization is an epidemic and it claims the sanity of millions of women each year.